Morning YouTube, YTPC on this very frosty and frozen morning. I'll probably keep the video a little bit shorter today because it's bloody cold. So today is the second in the series of tobaccos of Christmas present, and hiding in the wings here is Peter Heinrich Weihnachts Tabak, Winter Tabak, which means Christmas tobacco or winter tobacco. Nice tin, quite nice anyway, but what is interesting and a bit of a giveaway is they haven't printed Peter Heinrich anywhere on this tin. Just this label on the back. And that suggests to me that maybe someone else made it for them, possibly. I don't know. Talked to Uncle Phil. He suspects that the Scandinavian Tobacco Group make some of these blends for Peter Heinrich, perhaps under their recipe, and with someone from Peter Heinrich there to make sure they do it right, but hard to know. In the world of tobacco today, of course, as we know, many are made, branded by one, maybe even conceived by one and made somewhere else under contract manufacture. You know, hard to know where things really come from. So because it comes in one of these sort of you know, not so well sealed tins, this is actually properly sealed at the bottom, not crimped. But it's still just got a regular top without a seal. No seal there. So you have to quite promptly jar it up, especially if it's only in cellophane bags, which this one was. If it's in a sealed foil heat sealed bag, maybe you can get away from up to a year, you know, or 6 months maybe, but eventually you have to really jar it. Well, I took a little bit more time with this one. This is the 6th bowl. There's the jarred up version. Let's give you a look at the tobacco. You can use the lid for that. Now, I'm pleased to say, in this particular one, there is some flake in it, and you find it. That looks like about 10 or 15% Black Cavendish there. It's Golden Virginia Burley, Black Cavendish, and flake, and maybe 5 or 10% flake, maybe in the Virginia. Between 5 and 10, I think. Lovely tin note, which I kind of expected. Now, when I first opened this, there was a kind of sourness, and to be honest with you, the first cob I smoked with this was a disaster, because it was something very sour there, but I blame it a bit on the cob, because it was a new cob. I should have known better, I know, so I strike that away. But what I did is open the tin, open the cellophane, and let it breathe for a morning, and it could have been some citrus component, or even slight amount of vinegar conservative there that needed to sort of breathe out. Not entirely sure, but it is quite moist when you open it, and some kind of drying time is necessary, and I would advise to do that to sort of make sure that you don't get this strange kind of apple vinegar. And there is an apple component in this tobacco, so it might have partly come from the tobacco. But I pressed the reset button and said, right, forget that, it's breathed now, let's try it. So they describe the toppings as braatapfel, which is baked apple. So a kind of caramelized apple is what I was expecting. And Kirschmandel, which is cherry almond, and that made me smile because I thought, well, I'll like that for sure. Cut is correctly described as ribbon and flake. Sounds like rhythm and blues, doesn't it? You know, rhythm and flake. But ribbon and flake works very well. I think it's a great concept for blending. And some nice bits of flake in there. Well, tin note, my wife said the bit of fruit, maybe almond. She wasn't sure if a bit of clove was in there. You know, always the thing about a blend is, the problem with a blend is sometimes it mixes flavours and aromas together. You almost sometimes can't pull them apart again, and you end up with a sort of nice sweetness and vague fruitiness, and you can't work out what's in there. And I think that's always a bit the worry. But Peter Heinrich here is quite correctly held back a bit on the topping to make the tobaccos come through, what we discussed in the last video, to make sure that the people who really want to taste some tobacco and don't want too heavily topped tobacco are liking it as well. It opens the market size for them, doesn't it, for Christmas. So these are moderate toppings, and the smoke note is pleasant to very pleasant. Definitely a party pleaser. My wife also mentioned in the smoke note a bit of marzipan-y, but that's the almond, of course. No bite. There's Virginia in there, we've seen the flake, and there's golden Virginia in there. You can see this lighter, very light flakes in there. I had last night 2 bowls after each other with a short pause, and absolutely no bite really. I thought the nick might be a bit higher, but the nick low to medium doesn't get beyond that. Absolutely fine for me. Well, this one is a bit of a mystery one because there's no reviews in tobacco reviews to look at, and no rating there. There are no YouTube reviews about this tobacco. I can only maybe compare it to last year's Peter Heinrich, which was my favourite tobacco, 2019, for Christmas last year, and was excellent. I think the cold's getting into my pipe. You see that freezing fog over there, which is slowly trying to lift as the sun attempts to warm the air, but it's ever a slower process as we get into December. I put up my bird boxes, so poor old birds, I feel sorry for them, you know, but bought a whole ton of bird feed yesterday. Well, what do I think about it? Well, I went carefully through my taste wheel yesterday and the day before, and I find the almond, which is nice. The cherry is then further back, but there are moments when you're sure it's emerging. As for baked apple, caramelized apple, there's a hint of caramelized sweetness at the back and just a kiss of fruitiness. I didn't really get a lot of that baked apple. Now, I scratch my head and think, did I over air it and all of that apple vinegar disappeared, or I don't think so. A couple of hours or half a morning airing shouldn't demolish the flavours of a tobacco. But it's pleasant, it's really nice, it's lightly sweet. And there's a nice up and down mingling as you go through the pipe between the tobacco flavours at the back. So I certainly liked it, and I certainly think it belongs on the table as a choice for Christmas tobacco. I did notice some colleagues in England have ordered from Peter Heinrich, and they do ship certainly to the UK and maybe also the United States. So if you don't mind the very expensive shipping, which costs certainly as much as the tobacco, you can get it. Good old Jack Venus de Milo, Jack the Piper, Giuliano. He's got his shop open, have a look at that. Saw some other videos promoting his shop. It's really great, especially if you think men's jewellery. We don't get anything like the focus, but it's not only for men, of course, ladies who pipe and want lovely tampers like this, or rings for example. He's doing those as well. Everybody can enjoy these things, and he's just put the prices exactly right, I think. Fair enough, he has to earn his crust of bread, but he's made very fair prices, I think, for the quality and brilliant design that he offers. So I placed my order already. A bit of luck, I'll get them for Christmas Day. So this is for me a 1 thumbs up. It's not quite for me as good as last year. That's personal, because last year was much more purely the sweet things that I love, and I do recommend, if you can still get 2019 Peter Heinrich tobacco. The only thing is, unless they've stored it very well in that cellophane bag, it may have dried out, so I'm wary of getting older Christmas tobaccos. But that was really excellent, and this one is very good, but it's not excellent. It's not quite reached the point that I had hoped, and I did have high expectations of it. The burn is very even. Last night in the Shed of Serenity I had a temperature of about 16 degrees, and my pipe was working very well. I think here in the very cold air can affect actually your burn. Identity, absolutely for the festive season. Take some eggnog with this one to take the sweetness up on your tongue a little bit, or a bit of sweet sherry. That's what I would recommend with this one. It's interesting, with my wife, I was talking to her about the cherry and she said she thought it was cranberry. But that's maybe where the apple has interfered with the cherry a bit. Me personally, I thought there's cherry there, but it's quite far back. It's not sometimes disappearing and reappearing. The almond is the persistent aroma and flavour, I think. So I liked it, but just one thumbs up. My hands are starting to freeze and the sun is still not up at 9:45. Come on, sun. So I'm going to close it there for today. And the next one is Kohlhase and Kopp Winter Time. And there I have huge expectations because there have been a few reviews and they're all very, very positive. And I look forward to bringing that to you tomorrow. So take care, and above all, stay warm, my dear friends. Cheerio then. Bye bye.